Attention! Michael's Monday movie rants are not reviews and do contain spoilers. You have been warned. What do you get when you mix children's animation with a plethora of action scenes, round it all out with a few singing and dancing numbers? You get a kids movie better than any Disney movie that has been made in the last 10 years. But more importantly, you get this week's movie entitled The Bob's Burgers Movie. I'm Michael. This is Monday, so let the movie rant begin. Wow, Bob's Burgers. It nailed it. I enjoyed every minute of my time with Bob and Friends, from the opening reveal all the way to the end credit scene. It had everything you could ask for in an animated movie: action, comedy, adventure, comedy, singing, dancing, suspense, mystery, romance, burgers, and yes, comedy. If you've ever watched Bob's Burgers show, you already know what to expect. A story that grows more and more outrageous, yet somehow is subdued compared to other non grounded cartoons. An oddball cast who exude both charm and quirkiness, and who spout out as many funny quips to each other as there are lines of dialogue in the entire show. It's fun and frantic, yet somehow slowed down to a mellow, relaxed pace. I know, it sounds paradoxical, but that's where the magic of Bob's Burgers lie. And that magic is shown off in spades in their movie. Right off the bat, the movie opens up with a murder. I mean, we don't see the murder. It's like a crime that happens off the camera. But we hear the struggle, we see shadows of two people, and then a gunshot. It's fairly obvious what's going on, but it's not overt or in your face. It's classic Bob's. The icing on the cake of this opening is as it's happening, it's in one of the carny stands at Wonder Wharf, and all you see are the stuffed animal prizes looking in shock and horror as the murder they are witnessing is happening right in front of them. Of course, they aren't actually real, they're stuffed. So it plays more like a Naked Gun or a Police Squad gag where the inanimate objects stand in for people's faces and reaction. It is so funny. And it's classic. I mean, you owe it to yourself just to watch that bit. So then the movie truly opens with one of its many songs. This establishes the motives of our characters. I like this because exposition in movies can get very boring. But when it's sung to you, it just goes down easier. You see, Bob needs an extension on his bank loan, or their equipment will be repossessed. Tina needs to get over her fear of asking Jimmy to be her summer boyfriend. Gene just needs to find confidence in his music and his newly invented musical instrument. And Louise, she needs to learn to live without fear of losing her bunny ear hat. We have everyone's goals set up nicely and neatly in a catchy tune. So what ends up happening? Well, Bob doesn't get the extension, and now he needs 7 days to pay the bank. Not only that, but his landlord, Mr. Fishoder, requires the rent. And wouldn't you know it, a sinkhole opens up right in front of the restaurant. I mean, how in the world is Bob ever going to sell any burgers or get any customers when he has this huge obstacle in his way? Well, let's just leave that problem aside for just a bit because Louise has a problem of her own. You see, at school, she's afraid of doing a trick on the bars because it involves hanging upside down. And how could she ever hang upside down for any amount of time, right? I mean, What if her precious hat comes off? So the girls at school naturally accuse her of being a baby, and in an attempt to appear brave and definitely not a baby, she decides to go in the sinkhole. At night, no less. Because her reasoning is this: babies don't go into holes, they only come out of them. Let me let you sit on that one for a minute. So, she goes in the hole and she finds a body. Yes, that body. The body of the murdered person from the beginning. Well, actually, it's not a body now, it's a skeleton. Because some years have passed since the murder. And it's not that she finds the skeleton, it actually is that the skeleton finds her. As she's climbing out of the hole, she snags onto the skeleton, which causes her to fall, and then it falls on top of her. And it even gets some of the teeth thrown into her mouth. It is amazing. I love this part. One moment she's screaming, and the next moment she's choking on the teeth. It is too funny. And to cap off all of this, she later says, "I've tasted death." Like, what? So now the hole is a crime scene, which sinks, get it, Bob's hopes of getting the rent and the loan payment on time even further. And to top it off, Mr. Fishoder is accused of the murder. You see, the victim was a carny, and Mr. Fishoder was known to have fights with that carny over their gambling, over what it appears to be that he played Lucky Ducks. Yeah, they were gambling on that. So now Luis has a new plan. It's to prove that Mr. Fishoder is innocent, to save the restaurant, and to show that she is not a baby. So to do this, she enlists Jean and Tina on an epic quest. We have our hook. The rest of the movie is just following the three kids as they sing and dance and skip school and make a foray into the seedy side of town to enter Carniopolis to try and solve who actually killed Cotton Candy Dan. That's the name of the murder victim, by the way. The B story involves Teddy helping Bob and Linda sell burgers from a mobile Bob's Burger cart. All of this fun and shenanigans comes to a head at the Wonder Wharf, where it turns out that Grover Fishoder, the cousin to Mr. Fishoder and his lawyer, was the real killer all the time. Dun dun dun. He's trying to frame Mr. Fishoder so he can inherit the wharf. He wants it all to burn down so he can make his own version of what he thinks is a great wharf. The best part of this scene, when it's revealed, is that Mr. Fishoder isn't even surprised, and he certainly isn't scared of Grover, even as he's being threatened with a crossbow right at him. It's just so funny how he teases the poor guy. I mean, here he is, he's about to die, and he's still making fun of Grover. It's hilarious. Well, I won't give everything away, but the whole thing wraps up nicely, having Louise heroically stop Grover's attempt to burn down the pier, and they save everyone, and everyone gets their moment to shine. So let's talk pros and cons. I loved everything about this movie except the dancing. When we see the characters' arms and legs swing side to side, it looks very creepy, especially the kids. Having their arms sway to and fro and their legs skip this way and that in this semi realistic, almost nearly 3D pattern, it's odd and off putting. It's very much like the Uncanny Valley. It's almost too real and also too fake at the same time. It's hard to explain. I personally didn't really mind it. It was off putting, but I kind of enjoyed it because, hey, you know me, I'm a person who loves horror films. I mean, I even love the look of the doll in Megan. So, I mean, my tastes are might be different than yours. But it is something to note because you might be put off by it. There is nothing else bad to say about this film. It is a perfect cartoon movie.